They say some men are born in the quiet corners of history, but others rise in the crack before the storm, carrying destinies that feel too heavy for a single heartbeat. And among the forgotten winds of the Eurasian steppe, there was once a leader whose defiance flickered against the mightiest empire the world had ever seen. A leader named Köten Khan, the Cuman who dared to challenge the Mongols. Before the horizon darkened with the thunder of hooves, before kingdoms crumbled like sandcastles under a rising tide, before entire worlds folded beneath the cold strategy of an empire that moved with terrifying unity, the land of the Cumans stretched open and wild, framed by endless grass and skies that felt vast enough to swallow fear. And in this place of fierce freedom, Köten grew into a man shaped by wind, responsibility, and the hard discipline of survival. The Cumans were a people born to motion, their horses an extension of their breath, their arrows light enough to vanish mid-air, their loyalties woven into clan, land and sky. But even they could feel the trembling at the edge of the world, a strange and relentless silence spreading from the east where rumors gathered like storm clouds. Rumors of invaders who did not simply fight, but consumed everything in their path. Fugitives began to appear first, gaunt faces lit by firelight. Speaking of riders who moved like a single organism, of commanders who read the battlefield like scripture, of towns reduced to ash before the last scream could catch the wind. And though many Cumans dismiss these stories as exaggeration, Köten sensed the truth pulsing beneath the fear, a truth too enormous to ignore. Then the Mongols arrived. Their assault was not the familiar chaos of tribal warfare, but something colder, structured, inevitable, an eclipse swallowing the sun as arrows fell in disciplined waves, and riders advanced with an order so precise it felt unnatural. And for the first time in generations, the Cumans, masters of the open steppe, found themselves hunted in their own kingdom. Köten fought with desperate brilliance, carving escapes where none should have existed, rallying his people in the shifting fog of survival. Yet even he understood the brutal scale of the empire pressing against them, an empire that could not be defeated, only delayed. And so he made a choice born from instinct and responsibility rather than pride. He led the surviving Cumans west, away from the collapse of their homeland and toward the distant kingdoms of Europe, hoping for allies, hoping for a chance. When Köten reached the courts of Hungary, he carried not only the fate of his people, but a warning that seemed too monstrous to believe, a prophecy of devastation racing across the continent. Yet kings hardened by politics and suspicion looked at him not as a messenger, but as a stranger, and the mistrust between cultures grew like a crack beneath frozen water. Despite their uneasy alliance, fear moved faster than reason, and whispers spread that the Cumans themselves were spies, traitors, or a hidden threat, shadows planted by the very empire they fled. And in a world ruled by paranoia, even truth becomes dangerous. So when unrest erupted in the Hungarian capital, Köten, the man who had survived the Mongols, crossed continents, and begged for unity, was murdered by those who doubted him. His blood spilled not by enemies, but by those he sought to protect. And when the Mongols finally descended upon Hungary months later, burning, crushing, and devouring without hesitation, the prophecy of the man they killed unfolded exactly as he warned. A bitter reminder that the greatest tragedies in history are often carved not by fate, but by mistrust, by the brittle pride of leaders who cannot see past their own borders, by the greed and fear that turn humanity against its own saviors. Köten Khan's story lingers like a cold breath in the archives of forgotten wars, a reminder that sometimes the one voice trying to save the world is the voice silenced first. And in that haunting truth lies a question that history keeps whispering. How many disasters could have been prevented if people listened before they judged, believed before they feared, united before they divided? Subscribe and get ready. Something even darker is coming next.